Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Hiking Journal. In today's episode, I take a solo hike into the Agua Tibia Wilderness of the Cleveland National Forest and explore the Wild Horse Peak Trail. The trail starts at the back end of the Dripping Springs campground, located just a few miles outside of Temecula's wine country. Hello, good morning. I'm coming to you from the Dripping Springs campground in just outside Temecula, California, and I'm going to be taking the Dripping Springs Trail just a little ways up. Then I'm going to veer off to the left, and I'm going to head over to the Wild Horse Trail. It's first week of February, and it's a little chilly. It's about 40 right here, and I can feel it in my hands. I noticed I'm kind of slurring my words a little bit, but anyway, I'm going to be heading up this way. I got to have about a half-mile walk to the campground to get to the official start of the trail. And the campground's closed because of COVID, so there's no camping right now. But in a few minutes, we'll start up the trail. I got to sign in at the register. Then we'll head up the Dripping Springs Trail to the Wild Horse Trail. Well, there's lots of activity here in the camp area. A flock of quail just ran across the road in front of me. Well, I guess that's what happens when you close the campground for a few months. Wildlife slowly take over. I don't know if you've seen some of the videos from Yosemite when they were closed for COVID and the wildfire. It was interesting to see some of the wildlife come back down into areas where they don't normally wander. There was a badger captured on a trail cam in Yosemite. They haven't seen badgers in 40 years in Yosemite, so that was a special treat. But it is kind of eerie to be walking through camping areas like this, places I used to go and take the kids when they were little, and not seeing campers. Well, it looks like we've got us a sign-in register for the day. Let's check this out. Looks like the couple that were in front of me didn't sign in, but I'm going to today. All right, there we go. Signed up. The Wild Horse Trail. Well, this is where we're heading today, up there on that ridge line. As you start across the Arroyo Seco Creek right here, there's a little ways up, not even a quarter mile, there's a trail split. If you go straight, it'll turn into the Dripping Springs Trail, and if you go left, it'll turn into the Wild Horse Trail, which goes to Wild Horse Peak. I've been up Dripping Springs several times. Actually, I've been up both of them before, but the Dripping Springs Trail was the last one I took. It's kind of a long trail. You can make it a 14-mile day if you want, and you can almost do the same with the Wild Horse Trail. But we're going to be heading up in that ridge line here in a minute. But we're going to be in the Agua Tibia Wilderness, and there's a pretty good informational sign here. It talks about the different trails and what you can expect along the trail. In fact, this is the one I'm going to be going on today, the Wild Horse Trail. And we can expect to see wildlife along the trail. Bobcats, mountain lions, rattlesnakes, you know, the typical types of animals you see out here in Southern California in the National Forest. Still can't get over how empty this camping ground is. It just looks kind of bizarre to me, but I'm gonna make the best of it. It's still a little chilly, even though I walked a half mile from the car to the sign-in register. I still can't feel my fingers. So anyway, we're gonna be crossing the creek here in a second. There's a little informational sign, talks about the Western Arroyo toad. It's actually on the endangered species list. And during mating season, sometimes they close the campground down for several weeks, which is probably coming up here pretty soon. We had a pretty good rainstorm came through here a few days ago. Surprised there's no water in the creek. There might be once we get down there. We'll check it out. And this is the Arroyo Seco Creek I was talking about. And there is no water in it this morning, which is kind of a bummer. I really thought there might be. We're going to be heading up kind of that direction. I don't know which one of those is Wild Horse, but we're going to be over that direction. There's also a sign here that tells you to stay out of the creek because this is a sensitive habitat area, and that's mainly for the western arroyo toad. But we're going to be heading up this direction here, across the creek, to the trail junction where we head off left to the Wild Horse Trail. Well, we've only been hiking about 5 minutes, and we've already come to the Wild Horse Dripping Springs Trail Junction. And if you look to the right, you can see the cut in the side of the hill there. That's where the Dripping Springs Trail continues up above the ridgeline, but we're going to be going left here. Somebody also wrote on the sign, camp. I read on one of the forum posts that there was a nice camp just to the left here. And it's funny, I've been up here 10 times over the years, and I've never seen camp written on that post, so that's fairly new. Anyway, let's go take a look at the sign. All right, well, there's the Wild Horse Trail. Looks like somebody freshly wrote over the wording. I don't know how good a job they did, but anyway, we're going to be going to the left as the Dripping Springs Trail continues that direction to the right. We're going to be heading that way, up into the brush. Now it's finally widening out a little bit of the trail. I'll take that. It's just going through the scratchy, scraggly brush. If you haven't noticed, I'm wearing a kilt today. Let's see if you can get a better look at it here. Today I'm wearing the Black Watch kilt. This is from Sport Kilt. This is a mid-level kilt for them. It's got the fringe on the side, and it's got some leather straps also to hold it together, which it doesn't really need actually. But anyway, if you're familiar with kilts and kilt tartans, this is called a Black Watch, and it derives from an elite military unit in Scotland, and it's also one of the universal tartans. So whether you're Scottish or not, you're still able to wear this. Just make sure that if you do decide to wear the Black Watch kilt, you kind of know a little bit of the history of where it comes from. It's not just, oh, I like the color, so I'm gonna pick this one. This is actually one of the more popular tartan patterns. And since I was in the military, the United States military, and I also have a very large portion of me is Scottish, I felt I was okay to wear the Black Watch kilt. And if you've never worn a kilt hiking, they're great for hiking. They have incredible breathability, as you can imagine, from underneath, but they also don't have any impingement on your legs when you're hiking. You know, you have to, step up high over a log or a big rock or something like that. You don't have the gusseted crotch like you do in hiking pants or shorts, restricting your movement. With a kilt, as you can imagine, there's not a whole lot. But anyway, it's going to be a gorgeous day out here in, I guess this would be southwest Riverside County. You probably can't tell in the video, but I've got tremendous views behind me here, and it's only going to get better the higher up we go. We have views of all of Gorgonio, which is way off in the distance. It's snow covered. And off to the right, we have San Jacinto Peak. And that's really all you can see at this level. As we get higher up, you'll probably be able to see Mount Baldy. But it's supposed to be in the 60s today. And I'm sure at some point this merino wool sweater is going to come off. But right now it feels pretty good. So down below us here is Arroyo Seco Creek. That's the one we crossed over, I don't know, about 15 minutes ago. And that runs all the way down through here. In fact, our trail is going to skirt the ridge line. It's going to end up over there. So anyway, I'm going to keep going here and enjoy this nice open scenery. And we'll keep heading up the Wild Horse Trail. As I'm hiking down the trail, I've come to the head of some of these draws, and I've noticed there's different types of vegetation here than there is on some of the other parts of the trail. Along most of the trail, there's oak brush, which is, this stuff right here. But also, as the water and the moisture level increases down below Down in there were several ferns that were growing alongside. Probably can't see them from this angle, but I passed them earlier. There's also some white sage that grows naturally along the trail here. You take off a little piece and rub it between your fingers, you'll definitely smell the sage. There's prickly pear cactus down here. In the more sun-exposed areas, there's yucca. There's probably some agave here mixed throughout. There's also poison oak you have to kind of keep your eye out for. I haven't seen any yet, but this time of year it's not green or even that fiery red that you're used to seeing. Sometimes there's no leaves on it at all and kind of very hard to spot. You just have to remember, leaves of 3, let them be. There's nothing else really that grows around here that has 3 leaves other than poison oak. Just be careful because the active ingredient, the urushiol, is also on the branches. So just because there's no leaves on it doesn't mean that stick you just rubbed up against wasn't from the poison oak and doesn't have any urushiol on it, because you'll know it in a couple of days. Trust me on that one. Here's another shot of the Arroyo Seco Creek down there. See if I can zoom in a little bit so you can get a little better look. On the USGS map, up ahead here, I saw a side trail that split down and actually headed down to it. It's quite the drop. And with this type of brush, it'd be pretty tough going to get down there. Maybe at the junction, there won't be as much. But like I said, I've been up here before. I don't remember seeing one. So we'll see when we get to it. It was funny, just a few seconds ago, I wasn't really paying attention where I was going, and I kind of stepped on the edge of the trail. And normally this is a spot that's really hot and dry. Trail's very stable, and I guess because of the recent rains, it's a little muddier and a little softer than I remembered. And I wasn't really paying attention. I was looking down in the creek as I'm ducking into the bushes here. And part of the trail gave way, and my left foot slid off. It's kind of funny because this isn't normally the place you would think it would be dangerous, you know, but I could have done some cartwheeling through the bushes, I guess. I wouldn't have fallen to my death or anything like that, but still wouldn't have been very fun. All right, well, there's another view of the creek. Can't believe there's no water in it. Thought there would have been some up here for sure. We have another good view of the Temecula Valley down to my left, which is actually to the west from the ridgeline here. You can't see it, but there's a little fog bank sticking out just above that notch. That's what I drove through this morning, and just above that is a hot air balloon that's rising up. It's really small. You won't be able to probably see it very well, but anyway, there's another view of the creek as that continues up toward Wild Horse Peak. You know, I've lost quite a bit of elevation just in the last few minutes as I'm working my way through the brush here. It's definitely getting a little denser and thicker, and it's a little more moist down here. So, of course, I've got to keep my eye out for the poison oak, because this is the type of environment where it likes to grow, and it's the last thing I want, you know. So we're going to keep going here. And as we're getting lower, we are getting closer to the creek. And at one point, I did see a little glistening of water down there. So there are some standing water puddles that are down there. So who knows, maybe I'll get close enough to get a better look. Well, I've come down into this spot. It looks like some kind of a turnaround where it crosses the creek, and there's different vegetation down here. We've got some lovely ferns, and we've also got these, which I'm not sure exactly what they were. I thought they were yuccas, but they're not. They could be. I'm used to the pointy spines on them, but it's nice to see the ferns down here. It looks like we're going to cross over what normally would be a creek in the wetter times of the year. You can see where that goes as it goes up valley. And of course, down valley, down that direction. I bet you, if you went down that way right there, you'd run into the creek. And remember what I said about the poison oak? There we go. Leaves of 3, let them be. There's a good example right there. It loves this type of wet environment. Sometimes parts of the year the leaves are red and they give it away. The angry red, they call it. There's a little bit of angry red on those, but for the most part, it's not red. So I'm going to continue along the trail. I think this is about as far as I've ever gone on this trail. It's kind of nice down here. Well, I've worked my way out along the some of these draws, and I finally burst out into the sunlight here. And it's about time to ditch the wool sweater and get out the shades. And you can see what I'm looking at in front of me. Looks like I'm gonna be out in the exposed sun for a while now. The creek is kind of peeled away to the left here, so looks like I'm going to be heading more into the sun. So when I find a nice spot here in the shade with a flat rock, I'll ditch the pack a little bit and maybe take a break, get some hydration, and take off the wool cap and a sweater. Well, since I'm taking a break here in the shade along the Wild Horse Trail in the Cleveland National Forest, I thought I'd show you my new pack for 2020. This is a Savota Jacari pack. It's the medium size day pack. It's about 30 liters, I guess. 30, it expands to I think 40, and it's so far I've had it on 2 trips now, and I've loaded it down quite a bit. I've got a lot more stuff in here than you would normally take on a day pack, or a day hike at least. I'm kind of going through the little details of it to try to find out what I like and what I don't like. I did add a couple of external pouches to it, which really come in handy because they're, other than the MOLLE webbing, there really isn't any real way to put your small items, you know, like your fire kit or your first aid kit or even your snacks. Like in this one, I carry a whole bunch of stuff. This little pouch, actually, I got on Amazon for, it was like $10 for 2 of them. This one and that one over there. I also carry my gloves in case I have to do any type of bushcraft while I'm out and about, or even, you know, if I'm using trekking poles, it comes in handy. I've got a Cook's over here on the side for my drinks. I've got some paracord over here. I've got a small little, it's about, I don't know, 3 feet wide and 3 foot square piece of canvas. It's got flannel on it. I'll when I get to another spot, I'll probably open it up and show it to you a little better. But I've got that lashed to the bottom right there. I've also got a little sit pad, which I'm not using right now. Put on top. I've got my my Garmin InReach Mini that I use mainly for emergency purposes. On the other side, I've got a Cat 5 tourniquet in case I run across somebody that needs dire first aid, or even me. I can also self-apply the tourniquet. And on the other side over there, I have another pouch. I actually have a slingshot. It's I didn't bring the ammo for it, but I thought maybe I'll get a chance to play with it later if I have time. Then down below it, I've got a 32-ounce Nalgene brand stainless steel single wall water bottle, and I've got that nested into a GSI cup. Actually, it could be a Snow Peak 700. I don't really remember. I can't see it from this angle. And oh, sounds like helicopters coming. They also have a little stove. It's one of the Pathfinder's bottle stoves. Had to take a break for a second while it was actually a small aircraft that flew by. There's not really any airports near here. There's one over in French Valley, which is about, I don't know, 20 miles away from here. Maybe he's just doing a loop around the neighborhood. But anyway, I'm up here on the Wild Horse Trail from the Dripping Springs campground. And I just checked my GPS on the Garmin 60 CSX, and I'm about 3.2 miles from the trail at this point right now. I don't really have an agenda for today. I'm just out here to enjoy the trail and see what I run across. I've seen a ton of deer scat. I've seen a lot of coyote and fox scat as well. I haven't seen any animals yet. Seen a bunch of dove and quail. That's really about it. There's only one other set of hikers, and they're on the other trail. They're on the Dripping Springs Trail. Haven't run into anybody else, so it'll be a pretty quiet day today. So now that I've cooled off, I took off the wool sweater and I've got just this breathable polyester shirt on. Took off my wool cap. I've cooled down a little bit here now, so I'm going to load up my stuff and continue on up the trail. I don't know how far I'm going to go. Maybe I'll do 5 miles today and then turn around and come back. Make it a 10-mile day. That's a good number of miles for the day. I told my wife I'd be home by 2, and it's only 9:45, so got plenty of time. Well, I'm still continuing up the Wild Horse Trail as I'm heading up toward, it's like the top of Arroyo Seco Creek. And it looks like my trail's going to bend around to the right. You know, I've come to this turn in the trail, and I noticed there's a cairn. I'm assuming that's a cairn right there. And now it makes me curious as to what's up there. It looks like there might be footprints over there. I might have to take a run up there and see what's up there. Well, I'm taking a break here along the trail, the Wild Horse Trail. And to be honest, it's been kind of uneventful. Hasn't been a lot of good scenery and not a lot of good places to take breaks. I found this little spot just off the trail here. Had a little bit of shade and a little bit of a flat spot, so I think I'm going to take a few minutes here and have my lunch. It's a little early, but I wanted to show you this. This is a present I got for my birthday. Had it 6 months and haven't used it. It's a Stanley all-in-one food jar with a built-in spoon. It's kind of nice. My daughter got this for me for my birthday, so it has a built-in cup, so if you want to drink soup or eat soup or whatever. This is double-walled stainless steel, so it should keep what I heated up this morning warm, which is a big bowl of chili. And it's still warm. It's not piping hot, but it's warm. Kind of reminds you of when you were a little kid in school and you took a little thermos, maybe some soup or something on a cold day, and had it on your lunch break. That's what it kind of reminds me of. It's double wall, so you can't heat it up over a fire or anything, but it's kind of like a thermos. So I'm going to hang out here for a bit, eat my chili, and take a break. This might be about as far as I go on the Wild Horse Trail today. It's I looked at the GPS and it was 3.75, I think. So it'll be about a 7.5, 8 mile day time I get done with it. Good enough for me. Got me out of the house for a bit, got me into the woods, got some fresh air, a little bit of cardio. I'll take it. Lunch in the forest is always better than lunch at the kitchen table, if you know what I mean. Well, just off the trail here, I noticed this little use trail. It heads up to this little sub peak. And I came up here just to see where it went, because the further up I got, the more interesting it looked. And I'll show you what I mean here in a second as I catch my breath. Well, Wild Horse Peak is behind me. It's over there somewhere. I'm not going there. But what I did find was I catch my breath here. This little sub-peak off the trail with tremendous views. I mean, really good views. I'll show it to you here in a second. First of all, way off in the distance over there, see if I get a better shot here, is Saddleback Mountain, which is Orange County's high point. It's like 5,600 feet and change, something like that. And what's neat about that is over that direction, the little notch right there is LA County high point, Mount Baldy, 10,064 feet change. It's got snow on the top of it right there. But what gets better, if you look this way, and that little notch right there, I don't know if you can see that. That's San Gorgonio. That's San Bernardino's county high point. It's 11,503 feet right there. Been up there a couple of different times from the Vivian Trail and the trail on the backside, South Fork Trail on the backside. And then if you want to keep going, that right there and that notch right there, that's San Jacinto. That's 10,834 feet. That's Riverside's county high point. And then, if you don't think you can get any better, way off in the distance, way over that way, that's, see if you can see it here. You might have to zoom in a little bit. That's Hot Springs Mountain. That's San Diego's county high point. It's like 6,635 feet or something like that. But anyway, all that's visible from this one spot along the trail, along the Wild Horse Trail. And it's got great views, not only to all the peaks and all the high points, but down in Temecula Valley as well. It's kind of cool. There's a good breeze up here. Even though it's winter, it's I'm sweating. I'm sweating right now. That little hike up the hill was enough for me, really. I've hiked about almost 4 miles to this point on the Wild Horse Trail. I think I'm going to turn around here and head back. Already had my quick little lunch. It's been a good day. Got a great breeze. And it's funny also, down in this direction, Highway 79 goes down through there because you can see way off in the distance vineyard, and I don't know which vineyard that is. There's several of them down Highway 79 as you work your way toward Warner Springs. So anyway, it's kind of a cool little spot. And I just wonder if there's a benchmark here. I wouldn't doubt that there is. Gonna have to go look for it. Well, I'm coming back from the Wild Horse Peak Trail, which is at a Dripping Springs campground. And it was kind of an uneventful hike, I guess. Not a lot of scenic viewpoints there, but you know, of all the trails I've been on, a lot of times there's a payoff at the end. You know, there's either a scenic bridge or a summit or historical viewpoint or something. And on this one, there really wasn't one. Kind of an anticlimactic trail. And if you were taking the kids on a hike here, I bet they'd be whining and complaining that it's too steep or it's too rocky or it's too hot or it's too cold. So anyway, as far as the trails go, if you just want to work out and you want to go, the one spot I went to was actually pretty cool, but that's not generally where most people go. But if you do just want to work out, it's something to do. It's only a little after 12. I started at 8. Took my time, shot some video, had lunch up there, and I'm already back at the car. Well, thanks for watching this episode of the Hiking Journal, the Wild Horse Peak Trail in the Agua Tibia Wilderness. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button so you get notifications on new episodes of the journal. Alrighty, take care. Bye-bye.